Still can't leave me open.
Steph Curry versus Klay Thompson was a movie.
Thompson back in, the triple good. Switch to Lively. Three, Curry.
This was a long-time battle everyone was waiting for, and it did not disappoint. With an emotional return back to the Bay since Klay left the Warriors to join the Dallas Mavericks, there was no better way to tip off the start of the NBA Cup tournament. So grab your popcorn because this was the show that everyone wanted. Let's be real, we all know why the Warriors PA announcer left Thompson for last in the Mavericks starting lineup introductions, with a tribute that'll leave you emotional. And then the entire stadium wearing the captain's hat, you knew this game was going to be special as well as highly competitive.
Thompson. Four to play. 5 on the clock. Ball knocked away. Curry's defense. Grimes was right down.
The last 5 minutes were absolutely wild. I mean, the Mavs tied the game after starting the fourth quarter down by 7. They kept it neck and neck until the last 6 minutes until the Mavs took a 7-0 run while Steph hadn't scored a single point all quarter. Now, this situation sounds a little familiar. Do you remember the last time this happened? If you guessed the Summer Olympics, you were right. Back in the 2024 Summer Olympics final game against France, Steph hadn't scored a single point in the fourth quarter until the last 3 minutes, and I mean, he went off. If you haven't seen that, check out this video later. But he closed out the game with the night-night shot.
Back to Curry. Lovely dribble, puts it up.
And he did it again against the Mavericks. On top of that, this was the first time Klay had ever been on the wrong side of this reaction.
Yeah, it hurts to be on the other side of one of his flurries. Guy got hot at the end and made some ridiculous shots. I know I've been on the other end and it sucks.
But if you thought it was an easy dub for the Warriors, think again. The lead changed 9 times. Both teams gave away 20 points each on turnovers, and both teams had a lead against each other over 10 points. I mean, overall, it felt like a playoff game. Steph went off with 37 points with 5 3-pointers, while Klay had 6 3-pointers but only 22 points. This game had entertainment from start to finish. You know, right off the top, it had to be Klay and Steph squaring off against each other.
How about this?
Now, even though it ended up just being a foul, Klay put the first 2 points on the board for the Mavs. Ironically, Steph put up the first points for the Warriors, and if you guessed it was going to be a 3, you were right. Prior to this game, the Warriors had a solid start to the season, winning 8 of their 10 games, while the Mavs won only 5 of their 10 games. So really only a 3-game difference, but that's still quite the margin. I mean, the Warriors were 3rd in the West while the Mavs were 11th. This is a very different turnout compared to last season's playoffs with the Mavs in the finals and the Warriors not making it past the play-in. But for some reason, this game hit hard. Obviously, it's competitive either way, but apparently Klay ghosted Steph.
Hey, so I pissed Steph off. He like, yeah. I talked to Klay last night about, he was like, because Steph was supposed to speak before the game. He like, yeah, I called Raymond and told him I'm not speaking. I just need to lock in on the game, so I ain't even speaking. And I talked to Klay about it. Tried to check in with Klay on something else, and Klay ghosted him. So he got pissed. And here we go. Here we go.
That's why he was on 10. That's why at the end of the game, ooh, hey bro, that end of the game, that was almost like the Olympic shot. You feel me?
So if this was Steph's mindset, the way he executed made sense. Even though this night was a salute to Captain Klay, it ended with a reminder that this was still Steph Curry's ship.
Curry, right by Kai, scoops it up and in.
The Warriors took full control of this game just after Luka's 3-pointer put the Mavs up by 4.
Doncic, it's a 3. Wiggins.
But Draymond came through with a responsive 3-pointer right after that.
Right there in the corner, Green with a 3.
For the next minute and a half, it was a disaster for the Mavs as the Warriors went on a 9-0 run.
Outside
conversation with Steph yesterday. So today,
eventually, Kyrie broke the streak.
Before Draymond, he has brought his best defensive game.
But despite his continued efforts, Steph Curry and the Warriors kept pushing.
Send him to the line. Curry fires a 3.
Overall, during the first quarter, the Mavs struggled to gain control as they had over a 3-minute gap without a single bucket aside from Derek Lively's foul shots. But walking into the second quarter, all of that changed. The Warriors had a 6-point lead, but just like last season, the Mavs are known to keep fighting back. Remember how the Warriors had a 9-0 run? They ended up experiencing the same fate as the Mavs went on a 13-0 run, turning the entire game around.
In the corner, he's got Klay. A fake, a fire.
It was almost like momentum came after this play, where Luka used the double team to his advantage this time to set up Gafford for the easy dunk. Because after this play, the gears started turning for the Mavs.
Step and Doncic. Look at that. Finding Luka Doncic. What a pretty play on the reverse.
The Mavs were on fire during this quarter, especially Daniel Gafford.
No games, nice pass.
As a result, the score went from the Mavs down 32-39 to 45-39. Now that said, Steph did not play for that entire time either. But even still, the Warriors bench could have held it down, as they have been crazy good so far this season, becoming the highest scoring team off the bench on points per game in NBA history at an average of 58 points per game. Now, even when Melton stopped the Mavs' 13-0 run, KLAY still came in hot to make the streak 16-2 over the last 3 minutes.
Thompson a three. Another one.
But when Steph came back on the scene, the Warriors had to fight an 11-point deficit.
Depth was like it is for all.
After that, we barely saw any action between KLAY and Steph aside from a few fouls.
He's averaging 25, 5 and 5.
So in the first quarter, the Warriors had a 9-0 run and finished the quarter up by 6. In the second quarter, the Mavs came back with a 13-0 run and kept control of the lead by 4. Now, if you thought the first half was crazy, this next half of the game will keep you on the edge of your seat.
He flies into Marshall at the other end.
For the first 6 minutes of the third quarter, the Warriors absolutely dominated with a 13-0 run and an overall 17-3 run. After Draymond set up Jackson Davis for the game-tying alley-oop, KLAY had the only three-pointer in the struggling 6 minutes for the Mavs, bringing them the lead for only 27 seconds. After this, it was downhill for the Mavs.
That's the last thing to leave you. 18 points. Doncic.
But for the Warriors, it was like they were back in the first quarter again.
Melton flies the other way.
But halfway through the quarter, it's like the basketball gods decided to shift the power over to the Mavs.
2-on-1. And now they come in with...
All of a sudden, the momentum the Warriors had was gone, and for the next 2 minutes, the Mavs went on a 10-0 run.
26 for Luka.
At this point, it was any man's game despite the Warriors holding the lead by the end of the quarter. But Steph really came out on top for the Warriors with 11 points. As we already know, the fourth quarter was fire, but let's hop into it anyway. The Mavs came in hot, closing the 7-point gap and tying the game, all thanks to Kyrie.
And across the lane, Kyrie goes in there, 9-5, 3, good!
The big question at this moment was, who would break the back and forth game and take the lead for their team? Here's a hint, you just saw him.
Rudy's defense.
As we mentioned earlier, this is where the Mavs' 7-0 run came in. The Warriors tried to respond, but...
He will fire with 2.
And then right after this, KLAY turns up the heat. As you can see, the Mavs had a lot of control during the final moments of this game, but you just can't count Steph out, and we know this from the Olympics. Remember we mentioned Steph hadn't scored a single point during this quarter so far. It's like Steph is known to show up at the exact moment that matters. And then right after this exchange, Melton hits the three-pointer. Even though Gafford tried to keep the Mavs ahead, it just wasn't enough to stop what happened next.
The switch to Lively. 3, Curry. Doncic pulls up